Hey VC, my name is Lou and this is my first video. I've been watching some of the vinyl tag 20 question videos and it's inspired me to do my own video, and my daughter Nicole's on the camera here and she's going to be asking the questions, and she helped me pull the records and think of the answers to some of the stuff. She has her own collection and maybe one day we're going to do her own vinyl tag, but here we go. Okay, so the first question is how many records I own. I've got a couple of the old IKEA Expedites or Kallax, whatever they're called now, and some crates. So I'm guessing probably around 1,200, 1,300 records or so. The kind of record player that I have is not a kind of a cheap, actually, Audio-Technica 60. I used to have one of those Eon ones. My wife got me for Christmas one year, but I found that the Audio-Technica, I know it's not an audiophile turntable, but quite an improvement over what I had before, and I'm pretty happy with it. Next question is how old was I when I started collecting records? So the first phase of when I collected records started around I would say around 1980. And I think I was 10, 11 at the time. That first phase was sort of a 1980 to 1987, 88. Then when CDs hit and cassettes kind of did that for many, many years, and then restarted collecting again in 2014. What's the oldest record that you own? So the one that I was able to find that's the oldest is this Fats Waller Ain't Misbehavin' from 1956. I think this was either a Value Village or a flea market find. So for those of you that know Fats Waller, sort of a jazzy, piano sort of driven record. The first record that I ever got, the story behind this one. So the first record I ever got was actually the Genesis, I think it's people refer to as the Shapes records, the one with Mama and Illegal Alien and all that. But I ended up returning that record because it didn't play properly, and instead of getting it again, I actually got this record. So I really called this my first record, which is the Robert Plant Principle of Moments album, which is his second solo record after excuse me, after leaving Led Zeppelin. And this is a fantastic album. I love love this album, and I've kept it all these years, and it's in great condition, and even the white cover still looks great. The first record that I got with my own money. So this one here, I'm gonna go with Sting, Bring on the Night, which is a Sting live album. I had a job at McDonald's when I was 15 or 16, and went to the mall with my dad, and I saw this, didn't even know it was coming out. It was fairly expensive at the time. I think it was 20 something. So I told my dad, you know, when I get paid, I'm going to come back and I'm going to get this. He was nice enough to get it for me. So it was something that I intended to get with my own money, but I think at the end of the day, he ended up paying for it. But this is the one that kind of, you know, comes to mind when I think of that. Favorite colored vinyl? We're going to go with this Splatter vinyl, which is for the My Morning Jacket Chocolate and Ice EP. I just, you know, really like the way that it looks, and I'm a big fan of My Morning Jacket. Discount album that I own, I've got a couple to show for this. The first one is a flea market find for one of my favorite bands, and it's The Beat, or the English Beat Special Beat Service, which is their final album before they broke up. And I found this thing for $1. Couldn't believe it. Amongst all other kinds of stuff like Lawrence Welk and whatnot. So this was the last thing that I was expecting to find in that $1 bin. And the second one I'm going to show for a discount find is the Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band Live 75 to 85 box set, 5 LP box set. And I got this for 10 bucks at a flea market. So 10 bucks for 5 Bruce Springsteen records, like that to me spells discount for sure. What's my prized possession? So for this one, I'm gonna go, and this is an example of a set of records that I've got for Jimi Hendrix. I think, you know, for anybody who's got the Jimi Hendrix reissues, these are some of the best reissues that I think have been made. This particular one is Machine Gun, which is the Fillmore East shows, and it's basically the Band of Gypsies album extended. And the reason why I love these Jimi Hendrix, that they just sound amazing. The artwork is fantastic. I believe almost all of them are wonderful gatefold albums with, usually it includes some fantastic booklets with pictures, but they're just amazing. Like, I've got several of the live, you know, whether it's the Hendrix Live at Woodstock, which is a triple album, Hendrix Blues, Hendrix, the first, you know, 3 albums, Are You Experienced, Axis Bold as Love, Electric Ladyland, even some of the compilation stuff that was released more recently. They're all just packaged so amazingly well. Record by female artists. So this one was a bit tough. At first I was thinking, you know, back in the day, back in the 80s, Sinead O'Connor was a big favorite of mine. The Lion and the Cobra was a great album. More recently, Nina Simone, some great records by her. But then my daughter suggested, and I had to totally agree with her, that probably my current favorite female artist is Courtney Barnett. This is the Sea of Split Peas, which is a compilation of a couple of EPs of hers. Sorry if there's a glare for this one. This and her first debut album, just utterly fantastic. Great lyrics, phrasing. Just, you know, for those of you that are fans, you'll know what I mean by that. Record by favorite band. My favorite band of all time is The Police, especially in the period in the early 80s there, and you know, the reunion shows and back in the 2000s were huge. My favorite Police album is Regatta de Blanc, and this is one that I bought back, I think in 83 or 84, even though it came out, I believe, in this is from 1979 if I'm not mistaken. Favorite Police album. They were just at their peak during this era, live and on record. Walking on the Moon, Bed's Too Big Without You, just a fantastic record by this band. For an impulse buy, I'm gonna go with the Shabazz Palaces, which is an offshoot band of hip-hop band The Diggable Planets, and I really loved The Diggable Planets back when they were out. They recently did a session on KEXP, and that kind of made me look through Amazon and want to get something by the former leader of Diggable Planets, and saw this album, which is, as some of you can probably recognize from the cover, it's the Live at Third Man Records, Jack White's label. So I thought, okay, why not get this? That'll combine songs from the first 2 Shabazz Palaces albums, and you know, have them all on one disc. So impulse buy, because I really didn't give it a lot of thought, and just kind of clicked the button to buy it. don't regret getting it, but it is not as good as the Diggable Plants because it doesn't have that sort of mix of hip hop and jazz that I really like from that band. But it's still quite good. Nice flow with a little bit of some beats and sort of a spacey kind of feel to the music as well. The next one's a gift, and I'm gonna go with a single actually, which is the first Sting solo single to If You Love Somebody, Set Them Free. And this was given to me by my mom on my 16th birthday. She left it for me in the morning before I got up, and then woke up, saw this, was ecstatic because at that time the Police and Sting were just, I loved those two, loved those artists. And it was also the first colored vinyl with this beautiful transparent yellow, gold, whatever you want to call it. It just, just really stands out. For most played record, sort of with the help of my daughter, we decided that the record that I play the most, currently anyway, or in the last couple of years, is Currents by Tame Impala. She had actually burned this record for me. First couple of plays I was very, very disappointed. I had the first two albums, absolutely loved Inner Speaker and Lonerism, and then the first couple of listens I thought, what have they done? And then something just clicked on the next few listens and liked it enough that I thought, okay, I'm going to get the vinyl. And then when I got the vinyl, I just ended up playing it so often. Let It Happen, fantastic song. It was the song of the year for me, and just play this an awful lot. If I think of records that I played back in the 80s when I first started listening to vinyl, the record that I think I played, if not the most, like quite a lot, back in the early 80s is when I got into David Bowie after the Let's Dance album, and then I bought David Bowie Tonight, and really remember playing this a lot. Haven't really spun this in years, but certainly a record that I played a lot back then. Has title track Tonight, Blue Jean were some of the well-known songs from this. Another album that I know I play a lot because it's my favorite record of all time is the Stone Roses' first album, and this was a reissue, and it actually comes on this marbled orange and black vinyl. It doesn't sound the greatest, but it sounds pretty good. But it looks great on this vinyl, and it's certainly, for those of you who know Stone Roses, the first album is just an utter classic. Okay, for a rarity, this one was kind of a tough one because I didn't think I really had anything that was very rare. Because rare to me is something that costs quite a bit, and you'd have to shell out a lot of money to get something that just isn't that out there that often that you see. I went with this record, David Bowie, Rare, only because I think there's some songs on here that are pretty rare. I mean, they're not on other Bowie regular releases. They include, there's an Italian version of Space Oddity. There's a German version of Heroes. And there's some songs like Velvet Goldmine from the Ziggy period, and John, I'm Only Dancing Again, a version of Moon of Alabama, I think Moon of Alabama. This is what I went with, the rare. Rainy Day record, I went with, when I think Rainy Day records, I think jazz, and my favorite jazz artist is Miles Davis. So I went with this release, which I believe was actually a Record Store Day release, although I didn't get it on Record Store Day. Miles Davis Jazz Track, And what it is it's a compilation that includes the record that Miles did, and I'm not going to say the name. It's for a French movie. Not going to say the name in French. Something to do with Scaffold, and it also has 3 other tracks. I think Coltrane's on a couple of tracks with him, but went with this for Rainy Day record. For Feel Good album, I had to go with, and I'm a big Bob Marley fan, so I went with Legend, even though I have most of Bob Marley's proper studio albums. I went with the compilation Legend because it's really something that I heard first and got into Bob Marley. I had the cassette tape of it at first, and when my wife, like I said, got me the turntable a few years ago, I bought a set of about 7 to 10 records to have once I opened the turntable, and this was one of them that I thought, okay, what record do I have to have ready to play? And it was Legend. A nostalgic record. I went back and started thinking of back in the around 1980, 81, when me and my friends used to listen to music. We were into a lot of heavy metal, hard rock back in that time. You know, Van Halen and bands like that. And one band that really stood out was AC/DC. This is not a record that I had back then. I think back then I had it recorded on a cassette tape, but certainly was one of the records that when I started collecting again, you have to get Back in Black. It was the first, as you know, the first record AC/DC made after the death of Bon Scott, so Brian Johnson on lead vocals, and I think it's their biggest selling record if I'm not mistaken. Back in Black, You Shook Me All Night Long, Hell's Bells. This is a must in any record collection, I think. For Record Store Day purchase, I'm going with Tame Impala live versions, and this is on green transparent vinyl. This record has since been released after Record Store Day, but on Record Store Day, I forget what year it was, this was definitely something that I wanted to get and you know, didn't get right away at the first store that we went to, but was lucky enough to see one copy in the second one, so I was pretty pleased to get this for Record Store Day. I also want to show a couple of singles that I got on Record Store Day. One is for The Who, Lucky Man, no, not Lucky Man, Be Lucky, which was the album they released, or sorry, the single they released with their Who Hits 50, and as you could see, it's with the mod logo. It's actually quite a good song, Be Lucky. Wish they had made a whole album. And the other one is King Size Session by the Kinks, of course, which is a 4-song 45 that they released, very much in that early Kinks, You Really Got Me kind of style. For recent purchase, I'm going to show a couple that I received recently through Amazon. One is Pond, Hobo Rocket. Pond, of course, being affiliated with Tame Impala. The band Pond actually existed before Tame Impala and includes a few members that both bands share, Nicholas Albrook, Jay Watson. If you like Tame Impala, especially the first couple of albums, you need to check out Pond. And the other record that I recently got is Tortoise, Beacons of Ancestorship. Tortoise, of course, for those of you who know, Chicago band, sort of post-rock with some jazz kind of electronic flavors in there. One of the best live shows that I've seen them a couple of times. They got the dual drum set up right at the front of the stage, and the 5 band members are constantly switching between instruments. Just an amazing band live. And the pressing of this album, which is their second most recent release, is just a fantastic sounding pressing. All right. Thanks everybody, and you know, like I said, this is my first video, so I hope it didn't last too long, and maybe I'll make more recent vinyl find style videos in the near future. Thank you. Bye.